Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are live at drroto.com. We have got the rise and grind. We had a interesting week in the NFL in week 8, DFS-wise, pick-em pool-wise. Just when you think you've got it figured out, Trevor, the NFL takes a turn on us. And I certainly did on my DFS lineups, but I am happy to say, and we talk about that more on this show, more for seasonal and building your team to compete this week and looking at waivers. All of my teams that were under 500 2 weeks ago are now back to 500, and I'm on a win streak in all 9 leagues to get into the playoffs at this moment. So there is some positive.
Yeah, that was probably one of the worst DFS weeks I've had in a long time. Definitely this season for sure, because I really got spanked in that one. But my regular season or my seasonal fantasy leagues, they did pretty good. So I'd rather win than DFS, to be honest. But, I can't really complain on the season, but I feel bad for the people that were kind of new that this didn't work out this week. But, we're going to get it back.
We're going to get back. It's fine. We've had a really good year. Honestly, it's been a great year this last week again. We were on a lot of chalk plays, and of the chalk, the ones that we played did not hit. The other ones did. We talked a lot about them. They didn't make a majority of my lineups, but the rise and grind, man, the keeping tabs on who's playing well, who's up and coming, who needs to take a seat has been doing well for us. I drafted a lot of players that had a rough 4 or 5 beginning weeks and who are now back around. I mean, Lab McConkey's coming back around for me. McBride's been good since the beginning of the year. We're starting to see some turnaround from Chase Brown. All kinds of guys we liked and asked people to draft are starting to get back into it, and they're reflected on my teams at least.
Yeah, well, we told everybody to get on the Chase Brown and to get on a Derrick Henry because people were wanting to get rid of those guys and Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. And we said if you have to get rid of Genty to do it, do it. And I hope you guys that had Jenny a few weeks ago do not anymore and have those guys. Other players.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are positives. We'll find a positive in a bad week and something. But if you read the fantasy articles, the streamers, DK, we've had Isaiah Davis on him before. We've had Rico Dowdle before Rico Dowdle got good. We had Vidal before Vidal was even really in the starting lineup. That was back when they had Hampton. We told you to pick up Vidal. So there's a lot of other positives. But, yeah, the DFS week stung. But there's other things to get to. And like I said, we'll get it back in DFS. I'm not worried about that one bit. So if you do follow us for DFS, we're going to get that back, what we lost last week. So
I think so.
Not worried.
Not worried at all. All right, well, let's get into your team. They played Thursday night. They got their butts kicked by the Chargers, and we're finally ready to see whether you're right and Doc is right about J.J. McCarthy or whether Danger's right about J.J. McCarthy because he's going to get the start next week, it looks like.
Yeah, well, whether I'm right, I don't expect to have any expectations. So maybe before the season started, I did have some expectations. But
well, that's what I'm saying. Before the season, both of you guys said it was fine to wait and have JJ as your backup quarterback. I screamed from the top of my lungs, he's not an NFL quarterback. I haven't been able to be proven right or wrong yet, though. Are they going to let him completely off the chain this week?
They have to. There's no other option. I mean, they can't really go with people around here want him to play the backup at that Brosmer, but that's not going to happen. You have to see what you have in McCarthy. If we don't think he's got it this year, they got to figure out what to do for quarterback next year. So it's going to be a tough matchup. Well, passing wise, he should be okay against Detroit. I mean, he's got great weapons. Detroit's not a great secondary, but they're going to be playing and they should be playing from behind because we've seen, and I've said this for weeks now, that the Vikings defense is a lot overrated. And we've seen that these last couple of weeks, teams have been able to move the ball on them up and down the field. And I don't see that changing this week. Even if Van Ginkel is back. If Van Ginkel isn't back, it's going to be a bad week for them. So, yeah, it's frustrating. Frustrating being a Viking fan. It's always frustrating. It's just the way it is. I would fire Kevin O'Connell. I think he's an okay coach, but when you leave a guy like Wentz in the game and you know he's hurt that bad, I mean, the guy is writhing in pain, and you just leave him in there series after series after series and not, any regard for him as a human being, just keeping him there. And I'm sure Wentz probably begged to stay in, but as a coach, you have to see that guy and pull him out. And to me, that just seems you don't have common sense. I don't want you to coach my team, but I'm bitter.
Fair enough. All right, so it's not a terrible week for QB bye weeks. I mean, you've got Hurts on a bye, you've got Baker on a bye. We do have some injuries. We have some backups playing. Is there any interest in our listeners of picking up JJ for a spot start if you need him?
You got to be pretty desperate. I mean, like I said, there are weapons there. I'm probably going to play him in a league or two because I kind of drafted poorly at quarterback. I waited a lot on quarterback. There's some leagues I had Young and Lawrence, so I might pop him in there. Some leagues that I'm 2-5 in or whatever, I might just play him just to see what we have. But if you have a really good record and you have a viable replacement, I wouldn't. You have to be pretty desperate.
Fair enough. Any sense at all for our friends who are going to ask us start-sit questions? I mean, obviously you played Jefferson, but our friends are going to ask us start-sit questions about Hawkinson. They're going to ask us about Addison. They're going to ask us about the two running backs that seem to be splitting the ball. And any sense at all, are we downgrading Addison, or do you think they're just going to have to chuck the ball?
Well, Addison's not a downgrade. He's been playing great. I mean, he's been excellent, actually. He's almost been, he's been as good as Jefferson almost. He's got more touchdowns than Jefferson. He's got the less coverage, so you're going to play him. Hawkinson's okay. I mean, we have a lot of good tight ends that are playing right now, so it's, a lot of people have better tight ends than Hawkinson, but if you need to play them, the guys I'm out on are the running back situation. Detroit is tough to run the football against. It's a split backfield there. I don't expect any big carries. If I had to choose between the two, it would be Jones in this situation over Mason. But, I'm trying to avoid the Viking running game. Any of them in my lineup would be a desperation play.
Fair enough. On the other side, the Chargers there, Vidal keeps getting the job done, which really is great for them. They can take their time with Hampton. I'm thinking we don't see Hampton until, week 14. When do you think we see Hampton?
Probably week 14, something like that, because they've said that it's probably going to be longer than the 4-week window. So I would say 14, especially if they keep winning.
Sure.
Yeah, he's been good. The Vikings have been kind of deceiving a little bit because the Vikings have been run over by a few teams this year. So we'll see how it transpires as we go forward. I still like it.
We're seeing Herbert with 62 yards rushing.
Yeah, well, Herbert's been running the ball pretty decently this year.
Yeah.
So he had to run a few times, and as we've seen that they have a lot of weapons there, so they were able to throw the ball at the Vikings whenever they wanted to. The first half, it seemed to be mostly run to Gadsden, and then the second half, it was a lot of Lab McConkey too, and Allen filled in a little bit. Johnson got pretty much shut out, I think, but
he did. I think he had 2 targets, didn't catch either of them. Gadsden continues to kick some ass. McConkey is giving us what we wanted him to have. Allen was okay. They didn't need him. So we asked Doc who's Vidal, the other backup? Haskins. Haskins was hurt. And we asked Doc if there was anybody there. He said maybe Naheem Hines. Well, it wasn't. It was Jarrett Patterson. Any at all interest in Jarrett Patterson? Even let's say no fab, no waiver, but he's there tomorrow morning. Any interest in that at all? I didn't see many of his plays, so I know you watched the game.
No, the only way he's going to be viable is if Vidal gets hurt. You have somebody that you absolutely hate and want to cut. I mean, you could do that. But
disappointed in Trey Harris so far, or do they just haven't needed to have the fourth wide receiver?
No, there's no need for that. Not when your tight end's playing that good, too. I mean, you only can give the football to so many people.
Right. All right, we finished your team, and as per tradition, we will go to my team. The 49ers they were bad. The injuries finally caught up to them, Trevor. They couldn't stop the pass rush. Mac Jones had it in his face all day long. They couldn't stop the dink and dunks from Houston, missing Fred Warner, missing Huff, their number one pressure guy on the defensive line, was absolutely brutal. They couldn't stop a single third down that entire game. It was absolutely brutal.
Well, I think we mentioned last week that they were going to be a yo-yo team where they're going to look really good and they're going to have their low points. I had a feeling just because of the spread that the Texans were going to come out and win last week, and it didn't seem right because the Niners have been playing so well. And they were just due for a letdown game, and the injuries finally come and bit them, and the Texans needed the game bad. I mean, that was a must-win game for them, and they came out and won it. Stroud looked a lot better. They had guys open. It's just one of those games.
Yeah, I mean, Xavier got the touchdown, but there really was just completely spread around by Stroud, which, is good to see if you're looking at Stroud to fill in for injured quarterbacks or bye weeks. It was nice to see him actually throw for some good yardage, threw a couple touchdowns, spread the ball around. I think the story here is really, Chubb and Marks. Marks clearly looks better. Chubb keeps getting the ball. Now they were ahead, but it doesn't seem to matter. They just keep kind of pounding Chubb up the middle over and over and over again.
Well, Marks has looked better than Chubb for better part of a month and a half, almost. So it's pretty much since I seen Marks run the ball, he's looked better.
Mm-hmm.
What was disappointing about the Texans passing game is it was tight end week, and we had Dalton Schultz and a lot of stuff, and he was coming off a big game. And I was looking, he had 266 yards, Stroud had 266 yards passing at one point, and I'm asking Doc, I'm like, well, at that point, I think our guy only had one catch for 12 yards. And
it was bad. We picked wrong all across the board in our DFS lineup, buddy. We had Bijan, we had Schultz, we had all these guys that just
Spencer Rattler
didn't get the job done. Even Bo Nix, who I had more of than Rattler, had a pedestrian game against a team he should have thrown up more on. We do have a comment here. This is our good boy Eric, although he changed his name. He's trying to be sneaky, but I recognize Macho Man in a Dallas hat anytime around. When's Pearsall coming back? I thought that he wasn't going to make it this week. I think he could make it next week.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I asked you guys a pre-show last week if he was in a hospital bed somewhere dying, because we haven't seen him. So hopefully he's back pretty soon, because they need him badly. I don't know what the reports are. I thought maybe there was a chance he could come back this week coming up, but I'm not going to bank on it. I would say for sure within a couple weeks. But
yeah, I watch the Niners are my team, so I watch their reports pretty closely. It's only Tuesday. We won't get a real sense till Thursday. But I feel like he's going to suit up this coming week. I think you might even see Purdy ready to go. He's clearly chomping at the bit to come back, and if he can stand on that toe for a week, he'll give it a go. I would still rather them just keep going with Mac and let Purdy fully heal rather than rush him back. But that ain't going to happen. Mac's beat up real bad. So we'll see what happens there. On the 49ers side, McCaffrey didn't get it done. Jennings didn't get it done. Kittle got in the end zone, but really didn't get you the points you needed. I don't really have any risers, fallers. That just was a bad game for them. So let's just move on.
Yeah, I think the Niners, I think guys like Kittle and CMC will bounce back this week.
Of course. Well, of course they will. Heat override says, what up, guys? All right, let's go over to the Jets. We had Fields play out of nowhere. We thought it'd be Tyrod all week. Last minute, they decided Tyrod wasn't playing. Fields was going to play. He did fine, 244 yards. He threw a touchdown. He didn't rush as much as we'd like. Breece Hall, I remember Saturday night on the Any Given Entry show, Trevor, Justin said, I know I'm old school, but I need to see it before I believe it. And he was tired of picking Hall when the simulators and data said to pick Hall and it not working. Well, it worked this time. 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw a touchdown to Mason Taylor. It was a day for Mr. Hall.
Well, here's the thing. I told you this earlier. You could walk into the Bengals defensive huddle. You could draw the play in the sand like we did back in days of school, where we drew our plays in the sand when we were making our plays. Show the Bengals exactly where the ball's going. They won't stop it. They are that bad, because it's not like the Jets had all these great players. They're going up and down the field with, Hall's a really good player, but you had Davis and all these other receivers. They just go up and down the field. It's not like Justin Jefferson or their guys were going up and down the field. These are just average to above average players that are just rolling the yardage on them. So we have to remember the Bengals defense. This is probably the worst defense I've seen in a long time. So, we were talking about the Cowboys and Cincinnati being neck and neck as the worst defense. Dallas has some excuses. They got a lot of injuries, where Cincinnati, they're just bad. So every week we have to target against the Bengals. I don't care if it's who it is.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Eric wants to know, does Hall get moved during the bye week from the Jets? I mean, I don't know. This was their first win. This team is terrible. I do feel like they've given, is it Isaiah Davis kind of more of a run the last few weeks?
Yeah.
Maybe they are testing out to see what they have in him. Maybe Hall's agent is saying, get me off of this team, or I'm holding out or refuse to cooperate in the offseason. I mean, I don't really know. I think it would be great to see Hall get moved to a competent team.
Yeah, it would be nice. That's why, I think Isaiah Davis is on waivers, and he probably won't get picked up this week because they're on a bye. And There is a chance that Hall could be traded. So I have Davis in a lot of teams as it is. And I'm going to try to get him in as many leagues as I can, just in case Hall is traded, because he'll just slide right in as the number one back there. You can see he catches the ball well. I mean, he can do it all as a back. So, and he was on the field for 40% of the snaps last week. So, all to the Chiefs. Well,
I mean, I could have saw that, except for the last couple of weeks, Trevor. They've kind of had their way with teams, and Pacheco's playing fine, and Brashad Smith is playing fine. 3 weeks ago, if they made that move, I would have said yes, but I don't think the Chiefs give up any capital to do that right now.
They really don't need him. And then how would they sign him next year? I mean, they're pretty close to the cap and stuff. I believe.
I would like to see a guy like Hall move for either Charbonnet or Walker in something over to Seattle. I think he'd be a great fit in Seattle, but I think they're too invested in Charbonnet and Walker to make that kind of move.
Yeah, it's hard to say where a guy like Hall could go. I'd have to look at all the teams, but I wouldn't be giving up a lot of capital for running backs anyway.
Sure.
It would be a Jets thing to do, would to move one of their better players. I would think Hall would be a guy you'd want to build around, because it's not like they got all these players that they're paying. I mean, I don't know how much they're paying Justin Fields or whatever it is. It's going to be too much, but Wilson's going to be, I don't know. Did they already pay Wilson? Is it his contract year coming? I can't remember. My memory's not.
Well, we already said Isaiah Thomas. Look, I live near Detroit. Isaiah Thomas, I would pay him right now. Isaiah Davis, definitely somebody we've talked about for a few weeks on our shows about being on your bench. If he is available, pick him up. Absolutely pick him up, put him down there. It's a bye week. You might get away with him when nobody else is looking. A couple other guys in this game I want your opinion on. We had Tyler Johnson be the number one wide receiver. He's available in a lot of leagues. And then we had Isaiah Williams actually have a couple of big plays, 3 catches for 31 yards. He ran the ball once for 25 yards. Any interest in waiver wires for any of those guys?
No, this is just a product of playing the Bengals. When they play a team that can play defense, you won't hear from them.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Bills and the Panthers. We all thought maybe the Panthers defense had turned a small corner and could keep up what they'd been doing. And they did, for the most part, do okay for like the first 1.5 minutes, Trevor. And then they got completely run over by James Cook for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is the performance we tried to get several times this year against the Carolina defense and was not getting. But James Cook looked unstoppable. Allen didn't have to do anything but turn around and hand the ball off. Yeah,
and I still think Allen's rushed for 2 touchdowns in the game, and he threw for 1. So he didn't have a lot of yards, but he was involved in 3 touchdowns. So he was okay for you for your fantasy team. But yeah, Cook, the Carolina had been playing so good run defense, and this is they weren't expected to, and this is the game they really wilted in that. Then basically they just got run right over.
They did, and Shakir was wide open down the field. Once they tried to stop the run, they just left Shakir wide open. So,
that's basically what the team is. It's going to be Shakir's going to get his, 6-7 catches. Maybe he'll get a bigger, deeper one, get a touchdown. But Keon Coleman really isn't doing a whole lot. Kincaid was banged up a little bit last week, so
Yeah.
he's been good all year. So it's basically the nice thing about Buffalo is Allen, Cook, Shakir, Kincaid,
Yep.
and I'm not playing anybody else.
On the other side, Trevor, again, just when we think Rico Dowdle's the guy, Hubbard gets the touches, Hubbard gets the touchdown.
Yeah, and you can see that Rico looks better, in my opinion. But they're going to cut, like you said, you've said it before that Hubbard is getting paid, so they're going to keep splitting the carries. Andy Dalton was in there. I mean, that's just – I mean, McMillan did get some catches. I mean, he got close to 100 yards.
Yeah, 99 yards on 10 targets, 7 catches. So, he looked good. We liked him. I mean, that's, it's 17 points. It's not what you want out of a number 1 wide receiver, but it was good enough. He says told you all the Bills were going to cook. He was right. He talked about it. Heck yeah, he did. I got nothing really else there. I mean, Jalen Coker showed up with a couple of catches. Sanders, their tight end, their young tight end from last year who spent his entire career hurt, was in play. But other than that, nothing. Sanders normally would be somebody I'd look at for tight ends, but this year you could just spin a wheel and throw a dart, get a tight end touchdown.
Carolina's got a bad matchup going into Green Bay this week. They don't match up well at all with Green Bay's defense.
All right, let's go to the Giants and the Eagles, a little in-division rival here. We absolute brutal destruction of an ankle by young Cam Scatterbro. I did not want to watch the video. I kept getting screenshots while scrolling and seeing it accidentally. His foot was pointed the wrong way, Trevor.
I never saw it. And, when you do the condensed replay through NFL.com that I pay for, they just skipped over that. So I was glad. And then I never Googled. I didn't want to see it. I heard about it. I knew he had surgery. I'm like, I really don't need to see it. So
nope.
I never did.
Well,
see
you
it.
can imagine he was sitting on the ground and his knees were, he's been on the ground like that, and his foot was going the wrong way. It looked like like a deer leg or something. It was not pretty. We got Tyrone.
Stay in. I heard people were saying that he was like wanting to stay in, but
no, his foot was the wrong way, man. No. Tyrone Tracy is back in the conversation. He's not great. He's not good. That team's offensive line's not good, but he's going to get the carries. So I guess Tyrone Tracy is going to be on fab lists. As Lou said in our Discord today, 50 to 60% of your remaining fab, or all of it if you're low on it, because starting running back carries are hard to find after week 8. So you're going to have to pay for them if you want them. Somebody's going to be willing to drop whatever they have left on it. I have him on the bench in a few leagues because I drafted him late in the rounds because he was a round to like 11 running back you could pick up with the technical starting job. So I have him in a few leagues. They're going to do stupid things and give Singletary some balls that they shouldn't. So it's not going to be all roses for Tracy, but you got to put a bid on him, right?
Well, yeah, and I think when we saw Tracy, for the most part, it was Russell Wilson, most of that. Now we haven't really seen a whole lot of Tracy with Dart, so Tracy's a heck of a pass catcher too. So he might be a little bit better than what we saw earlier in the season. So you definitely got to take a chance on him, especially if you need a running back. He can catch passes. He's going to get the volume, and he might just surprise you a little bit with Dart.
Yeah, and then Dart himself, again, I don't think anybody is sitting on him. He's on a bench in your league already, or starting in your league. He looked fine. I mean, he was getting pressured. He got sacked 5 times, but he didn't turn the ball over. I'm kind of excited for his future. I don't know if he helps, when you get your stars back next year, but I like him. I do.
If I remember going through the schedule, I project him. He's going to have a lot better games. He's had a little bit of a tough matchup with the schedules of late. So I think going forward, I know he's going to be he might get my DFS article this week.
Could be. I know I am down to starting him in a couple of leagues out of mine because of injuries and buys. No real standout performance. We were hoping to get more out of Robinson. Didn't really do anything. Pretty much everybody got a catch or two on the Giants. He really spread it out for his 14 completions. On the Eagles side, what did you think about that clear fumble on the tush push that did not get called a fumble?
I think if you're going to not call the false starts that happen, and that is a fumble, then you got to scrap the play, because if you're not going to officiate right, then I don't want to see it. That's a fumble. And, they said his forward progress was stopped. How many times have you seen his forward progress stop and they let it go and then they still push him a couple more yards and then they blow the whistle?
Trevor, they didn't blow that whistle until that New York Giant had the ball in his hand. So that you can't tell me that they blew the whistle.
Terrible. And I'm not saying that because I don't like Philadelphia. I don't like the Giants either. So I don't really care for any of the NFC's teams. I just don't like when a team gets robbed like that. That was robbery.
Yeah. And Trevor, we've talked about it here. It's not that the tush push stinks, right? It's a play. You got to learn to beat it. However, if you can't legally beat it, then you can't have the play. And that's been my stance the whole way around. So anyways, we had a huge game out of Barkley. And then we got garbage time, huge game out of Bigsby. I know that Barkley got a little banged up. Bigsby on a bye. Is he somebody you target on the bye, or you let him go and think about it next week?
If you have the roster space and you got a guy you can cut and you don't need to put Bigsby in your starting lineup this week, you can roster him just to have him there in case Barkley does get hurt. They said Barkley could have been back had the game been closer, but
I believe that he would have.
But if I don't have the roster space, I'm not going out just to get Bigsby. But he'd be a luxury person to have on a bench. We'll put it that way.
If I don't need to pick up a starter this week, I might put a bid in, or not a bid in, but a priority waiver in on there. Devontae Smith was exactly what we expected. He got most of the looks. Dotson got one touchdown on one catch. Goddard didn't get the yardage or the targets, but 2 out of 3 catches were touchdowns.
Yeah, that's basically how it's been. Barkley dominated the game, and if the game would have been closer, Smith would have got over 100 yards. So I think the Eagles are in a bye, so we'll see what they're like when they come back. AJ Brown will probably be back. So,
yep, agreed on that. Speaking about Brown, let's move to the Browns. I had pivoted some of my Chicago Bears defense to the Browns and the Bengals because Hendrickson was back, and we thought maybe they'd have a better showing. That didn't work. I pivoted to the Browns. That didn't work. So all 3 of my defenses that I played in DFS got hosed. But the Patriots, are they a legit 6-2, or are they a product of kind of the schedule they have?
I'm saying it's more of a product of the schedule they've had. I mean, they're a good team. They're not bad. They're not as good. They're not a 6-2 team, but they got a really good quarterback, and they play solid defense and they play solid football. They don't have big name stars, but they seem to all have a part where they play pretty decent. I couldn't imagine Drake May if he had a big time weapon, if he had like a Justin Jefferson or something like that.
Yeah. So here we go again. Just when we've got it figured out, just when we're like for 2 weeks, and we called it the week before it happened, that Stevenson's getting the ball. Stevenson's the guy. Stevenson's going to get the ball. We were right for 2 weeks. We were a week ahead on of it. Just when we said Henderson stinks at Stevenson's backfield, all of a sudden we get Henderson with 7.5 yards a carry in a decent game.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you hope that I don't think anybody's cut Henderson. I think many people wanted to. So it gives you hope that maybe something will transpire as the season goes. I don't trust it. I still think Stevenson's going to be the lead back. And that's just the way it's going to be. You can't expect big fantasy points from either guy at this point.
Diggs has gone back to being the early season Diggs, completely disappeared in this game. Mac Hollins sighting for 7 targets, 7 catches, and 89 yards. And Keyshawn Butte just keeps doing his thing. Trevor, he keeps getting 60-plus yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's basically what he's been. So it's pretty cut and dry with the Pats.
Mm-hmm.
Other than what they're going to do at running back, but you got Henry. How did Henry do? He didn't do all that.
1 catch, 7 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, he did score. So they spread it around. So there's not one guy that's getting tons and tons of volume. So it's hard to rely on week to week. They're just plug and play guys you have in your lineup. Though Butte is a good third receiver or flex if you're playing in a league that's got, I play in one league where we have 3 receivers and 2 flexes. So he would definitely be in my starting lineup every week.
Yes, sir. And I will continue to play Drake May solo in DFS. I don't think you need to pair him up. You just play him. I mean, the guy rushed for 50 yards as well. So
he led the main slate last week.
Totally liked him. Let's go over to the Browns. I don't know why. They're terrible. We do need to talk about Quinshon Judkins going down. Did you get any sense for how long he might miss?
No, I didn't get any sense. It sounds like he could probably be back after they're by week 2 this week. And so, but Sampson's a guy, if he's on waivers, is a guy you might want to have. He's not a guy you need to rush out and get, because if Judkins is there, he's going to get a lot of the volume. But we'll have to see what the reports are in a couple of days.
Yep. I know that a few times in the Discord that Doc said he had a good feeling about Jerry Jeudy just because of the scheme they were playing against the Patriots. But Jeudy didn't get a single catch, and they did the thing I keep hating all year long, Trevor, and that's half the targets to Fannin, half the targets to Njoku. Both got a touchdown. Neither of them scored big points for you. And as long as both of those guys are healthy, they're perfectly fine. But I need one of them to get suspended or hurt.
The outside receivers for Cleveland are non-existent. Gabriel can't throw to the outside. He just can't. It's got to go through the middle. It's got to be the tight end. So if you have Jeudy and, my foolishness was on Isaiah Bond weeks ago, and I still like him as a prospect. I still think Isaiah Bond's going to be a solid receiver. Just not going to be this year. They got to move on and get a different quarterback. It's not going to be Gabriel.
Move on to Sanders. And Sanders threw the ball deep and often in Colorado.
I would. What do you got to lose? I mean, play him.
Play him. Absolutely play him. If you are in dynasty leagues, if you're in big, deep leagues, and, Sanders is probably owned in many dynasty leagues, but if you're in deeper leagues, 2 quarterback leagues, if he's out there, I wouldn't mind getting on him a week in advance because they might come out of the bye and give him a shot. So who knows?
I don't. They just don't have anybody to throw to it.
My disappointing Bears could not put up the points that I wanted them to. I played some of them in DFS. Caleb threw for 285. He looked competent behind there, but he just couldn't get the ball into the end zone for them. Roma Dunze, 7 catches, 114 yards. Nice performance. Couldn't get into the end zone. He had the one measly touchdown go to Swift on 45 yards.
Well, and here's what happened. I don't know if you watched the game, paid attention, but Chicago drove the ball down the field twice. They were inside the 5. I think play calling was disastrous. I mean, run, pass. They settled for 2 field goals early, and then Caleb made a big mistake in the fourth quarter, throwing a pick inside his own 20 with about 5 minutes left. So that was the difference in the game. They had 2. They went down the field twice and settled for 6 points to start that game out. And they let Baltimore come. Baltimore turned their drives into touchdowns a lot of the time.
Sure.
So, and the Bears did not. Williams looked good. The Bears should explode this week because they're in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So
Rome looks good. Rome looks like a true number 1 wide receiver.
Fire up Rome, fire up Swift, fire up Caleb. I mean, they should be in a prime spot this week.
Absolutely.
So, it was just a frustrating game to rewatch. If you're a Bears fan, it was just frustrating to watch the Bears offense against the Ravens because they could move the ball and then they just.
Is Ben Johnson overmatched in a head coach, or is he just not got the pieces he had before?
Well, he definitely doesn't have the pieces he had before in Detroit. I mean, it's pretty easy when you have the best offensive line, the best running back combo, great receivers, great tight end, a pretty good quarterback. He doesn't have all that in Chicago. Their offensive line isn't the greatest. But they're improving. If you watch the Bears from the beginning and then you watch them now, I mean, they're really improving offensively. They're going to be fine. And when he gets a few more pieces, they're about another year away. Caleb, I like him. I still like him. I think there's room for improvement still, obviously. But, you're just going to have to live with a bonehead play from him every once in a while. And that's just the way it's going to be until, we have to hope Luther Burden and the tight end there, was it Loveland?
Mm-hmm.
They improve as they get more experience as well. The thing I'm wondering is DJ Moore. I mean, he's pretty much non-existent in fantasy football right now. I don't know why. I don't, when I watch the replays, I'm not seeing why he's not getting open or why he's not getting the football. I just wish they would involve him. Even on they used to do a little 2-yard pass to him. They'd snap the ball and a quick pass to him, and then he'd run for a few. They're not even running those plays anymore for him. So that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, absolutely. Heat Override says, is Ben Johnson next Mike Martz?
I don't think he's as good offensively as Mark.
He means that is he a better offensive coordinator and won't the head coach?
It's too early to tell because he took over a Bears team that had the number 1 pick last. Didn't they have the number 1 pick again? Or they were up in the top 5 this year again. So he's taken over a Bears team that has really stunk for the better part of 3 or 4 years. So you can see the improvement. I don't want to say he's the next March. Let's see what happens when he gets better talent. Because the Bears defense isn't that great either. I mean, they're okay, but
here we go. The Bears feel like Jell-O, wiggles but goes down fast.
Yeah, but you got to remember he took over a terrible team.
He did. On the other side, we saw kind of a defensive storm from Baltimore. They controlled the ball. Henry had 71 yards, but he did get in the end zone twice. Huntley didn't have to really do anything. He only dropped back 22 times total for 186 yards. Flowers was good. You thought that the backup tight end would do well in DFS with Likely, but it ended up being Kohler catching the touchdown for the backup tight end. So
I didn't know how well Likely was going to do, but for 2,600, I was willing to find out, especially if Lamar was playing.
Yeah.
When Lamar was announced out, I was like, nah, that's not very good. Lamar's playing Thursday night, so I think Likely is a guy that might pop up against Miami if you're playing the DFS single entry tournament on Thursday showdown. Likely might make it as a low end guy because you're going to want to play Lamar and Henry in that game, and Flowers for that matter.
Well, let's talk about somebody who we thought would crush Miami, and that is Bijan Robinson. He ran the ball only 9 times, Trevor, 9 times for 25 yards, and single-handedly led me to my worst DFS week of my career. I put in 155 lineups, Trevor, for almost $400, and I won exactly $0 back, not even a buck in return.
Did you have him in all 155? You have him in all 155?
Sure did.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Well, the thing about that, when I rewatched that game, is Jordan Brooks, the linebacker, was like a heat-seeking missile on Bijan. But here's where I think I made a mistake. And when we looked at the Jets and we saw that Tyrod wasn't playing, they were going to Fields. And we're like, oh, we can't play Hall because Fields, and they'll just stack the box and probably stop them or whatever. We didn't apply that same theory to Atlanta with Penix out and with London out, and it was Cousins back there. Well, it's like they knew exactly what play was going to happen when they early in that, and then they fell behind. And then it just Cousins didn't the answer. Then the offense just looked really, really bad, and then they start bringing Algier in. I think they could probably feel it too. So Algier got a few carries too. So
Algier scored more fantasy points, Trevor.
What's that?
Algier scored more fantasy points.
Yeah, they gave him the touchdown at the end. But as far as I don't think Miami's going to repeat that performance against Baltimore.
Yeah,
is that what you're pushing at?
No, I'm not. I was just upset about Bijan losing me all my money.
Well, we could do a whole show on our bad lineup from Saturday night. I mean, I could.
Well, we're going to start the Saturday night show probably with that discussion, so we'll save it for then. Kyle Pitts, though, again, I mean, I drafted them everywhere this year, Trevor. I waited forever, and I have Kincaid and Pitts in almost every team that I have. Pitts has come through. He had 9 catches on 9 targets, 59 yards. Now that's, touchdown would have been great, but I'm taking, 15 points out of my tight end.
Sure. Yeah. Especially when you draft them late like that. And there was really nobody else to throw the ball to. Mooney didn't look very good. London was out. They had a beat on Bijan. I mean, like I said, that Jordan Brooks, the linebacker. Yep. That's a weird thing about Miami. I watched that team get run over week after week after week. And then I think I texted you about the end of the first quarter. I said, this could be a bloodbath.
You sure did. I quit watching the rest of the games. I didn't watch it at all. Did Cousins look rusty, or is this game just get away from the Falcons?
He was rusty. He had some high balls, but the thing about Cousins, you just know where he's going to be in the pocket. They don't have you don't have to worry about him rolling out or anything like that. And let's face it, without London, Mooney doesn't look good. The receiving weapons just aren't there. And that's why the ball went to Pitts all the time.
Couldn't agree more. All right. Miami side, Achane has been very good. They didn't really, they threw him the ball quite a bit. They just dominated. None of for the score and the way that this turned out, there wasn't a ton of scoring fantasy wise that was relevant. Waddle had a good game, but we all knew that he was a top 5 option on the week. Achane got in the end zone on a catch, but he didn't have a particularly huge week. We saw a lot of Ollie Gordon. What did you think of Ollie Gordon? I have him on every dynasty team, all of them. He
looks really good. I have him in 2 dynasty leagues too. I only play in 2, so I have him in both. Mm-hmm. So he's a guy. He's a hard runner. He's not going to get a ton of volume every week, but you're going to need him to play in some blowout games. And if Achane were to go down, he could be a league winner. He's a good back to have on your bench.
Yeah, Malik Washington looked pretty good too. So
he looked good.
There was some hope for the Miami offense. It looked totally fine. Tua was throwing 4 touchdowns, only got sacked once. They looked good.
Can we go back to Baltimore really quick?
Sure.
Keaton Mitchell, he had 4 carries, but he looked pretty explosive. Now, he was an explosive player before, and he had a season-ending injury a couple years ago. I think he's going to take over the backup role over Justice Hill. So he's a guy I am targeting for if I have the bench space, because I think he would be the starter right away if something were to happen to King Henry. So just something to throw out there.
Let's talk about another backup running back. We told everybody on Sunday morning in the Discord, Doc and I said, go ahead, pick this guy up. We got Sean Tucker, ended up getting some garbage time touches. They absolutely destroyed the Saints, so it was much more of the situation. He got 12 carries, 42 yards. He got in the end zone. He looked good. White was fine. They didn't need him. Baker was fine. They didn't need him. The Saints just couldn't put up a fight at all at home, Trevor. And we thought Rattler would get some action. We thought this game could be kind of a high-scoring game, and the Saints were just bad.
Well, they can't run the football, so that's number 1. Number 2, you can't run the football, and you have Rattler there, which I should have figured this out, and I didn't. They just blitzed the heck out of him. Because when Rattler had time to throw the ball, he was 15 to 21. He wasn't completing much deep, and Rashid dropped a ball or 2. I'm not trying to make excuses for Rattler because I liked him. But he wasn't, he wasn't very good. That interception pick 6 he threw was about as bad a play as you're going to see a quarterback make.
It was bad, but Tyler Show isn't any better. So.
Well, that's true too. But at that point, they were just trying to create a spark and.
Sure. But Rashid did his thing. He had this 9 catches for 75.
The receivers did okay. They just didn't score a touchdown. They got the volume which we thought they would get. They just didn't get in the end zone. A lot of that volume came in the fourth quarter too. A couple of drives there, but
I was a little.
One of those games I want to forget. I want to forget saying that I like Spencer Rattler because. That usually would not come out of my mouth, and for good reason. And I just had a feeling he was going to have a good game on Sunday. And boy, it was one of the time I can't.
Heat's rubbing it in a little bit. He said he talked about Rattler too last week. Not rubbing it in, joining in on Rattler. He said he kind of liked him too last week. You're being nice. I'm going to play him. I was. You know what I was disappointed in this is when the game got away from him. I really wanted to see what they had in Devin Neal, and they just didn't go to him at all. Which
they were throwing every time.
A little sad. So I wanted to see him get a little action. On the other side, we already talked about it, right? Tucker showed what he could do in garbage time. That's fine. He did this last year in a couple of spots when everyone else was injured. He's totally fine. He deserves to be a prime backup for another team and not stuck as the third running back on this team. So we'll see what happens with him in the offseason. But Bucky might be back after the bye. So Tucker goes to irrelevance unless White gets injured or
he's expected
gets
back.
injured.
But another thing, Tucker had to come in because they gave the ball to Rashad White so many times at the goal line they couldn't get in, and Tucker couldn't get in either. And then finally Tucker broke through. I mean, it took up 8 cracks at the 1 yard line to get in, because the first time they got stopped on downs, and then the second time it was 4th and 1. I thought they were going to throw, but they didn't. So.
Yeah, there's been some chatter about waiver wire pickup for Tucker. Don't do it. He's on bye, and Bucky probably will be back in week 10. So just leave him there. Let somebody else spend money. Let's keep going. Let's go on to the Cowboys and the Broncos. The Broncos are absolutely dominant on basically both sides of the ball. Dobbins ran for 15 rushes for 111 yards, but R.J. Harvey ended up being the story of the day. He was fantastic. I like what they have in him. I mean, Dobbins obviously is not a long-term guy. They brought him in to be a veteran here. He's had nothing but health issues his whole career. Harvey is the future here. Harvey is not on waiver wires anywhere. If he is on waiver wires, throw everything if you want him, because, Dobbins is still going to get the touches there. But if anything happens to Dobbins, Harvey's a 25-touch-a-game player.
Yeah, you want to have Harvey on your bench. He's definitely going to get some scores. I wasn't very happy about Harvey getting the scores because I wanted other players on Denver to get the scores.
That's true. We really wanted Sutton. Our Sims and everything and the data that Justin had, I mean, everything pointed to Mims being the right play, and instead it was Franklin. That happens. We'll talk about Tennessee later. Simulations like to point out situations, and it's not always right about the player, and this was one of the cases. Franklin looked really good. I love Franklin. He was my preseason darling. But I don't know. They tried to button up Sutton. It worked, and other people beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I thought, had turned a little bit of a corner. Clearly, they have not, although going into Denver is really hard to do.
Yeah, this is just a step up in competition, and Denver can smack you in the mouth on both sides of the ball. Knicks looked pretty good. I did start Patrick in a couple of seasonal leagues, and thankfully I did, because it got me 2 wins. That I probably wouldn't have got had I gone with the other player. We knew somebody other than Sutton was going to probably do well, and it's hard to tell if it's Mims or Patrick. And then Bryant had some chances too, and so it's hard to decipher who. And then you got Ingram too. Ingram come close to scoring.
Ingram did all right. We got to see a small amount of Joe Milton on the other side, Trevor.
Yeah, well.
Why not? Right? Why not? Williams didn't get very many yards. He got stuffed quite a bit, but he got 2 touchdowns. So Williams
he got 2 touchdowns. I was glad for that, because in the 2 leagues that I had Brian, I had Williams, and I had to start him. I knew it was a bad matchup, but I knew it wasn't a very good matchup for Dallas in the first place, because CeeDee Lamb, granted, he did get some good volume, and so did Pickens, but it just is what it is. It's a tough matchup. They're going to have some big games going forward when they play, weaker teams. Denver's a hard team to play against. So,
nope, agreed. No new news there. So let us keep rolling. We're going to talk about the other wide receiver situation we talked about, where the Sims identified a opportunity, but it was the wrong guy. Our Sims in the data showed that Alec Iomanor would have a good matchup against the Colts. The Colts were going to score a lot of points. Tennessee was going to have to throw the ball a ton. They did. They almost threw 40 times. However, it was Chimere DK that got the targets that we thought were going to Alec Iomanor. He went 7 for 93 yards. He's probably going to be on a lot of waiver wires. Are you interested in him? Now, mind you, he was drafted in head of Iomanor by the team.
Oh, I'm very interested in DK. I actually have him in a few leagues, and I had to play him last week in a couple of spots. So I wrote him in my article as DK on Saturday. Justin had Iomanor. I realized one of them was going to come out. I was hoping both of them was going to show out. So, yeah, DK.
To be fair, Trevor, they both got 8 targets, and they both had 13 yards a catch.
Yeah, just one caught more balls.
One caught more balls. That's right.
It wasn't like Iomanor, was out there and he looked terrible. He wasn't, not like he had these big drops. It was just the product of the game. So, and another guy that looks good for them is, It's time to play Tyjae Spears a lot more than Pollard.
Yeah,
Spears has a lot more.
They're not gonna. They're gonna do it just like Minnesota's doing, where the clear better guy, or not Minnesota. I'm sorry.
I know who you mean.
Carolina. There we go. Carolina. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to give these guys 10, 12 touches apiece both games instead of letting any of them help us, and it won't. The Colts, on the other hand, look like a team. I mean, I don't know. We said that the Chiefs are going to run away with this division again, but I mean, the Colts and the Broncos both look like they could put up a fight. The Colts looked absolutely fantastic. Jonathan Taylor is unstoppable. That's where my 155 lineup should have been with Jonathan Taylor. I have played all year long, Trevor, all year long, everyone against Tennessee, and I abandoned it this week, and I had my worst DFS week. And it sucks because Pittman was in the simulator, Taylor was in the simulator, Danny Dimes was in the simulator, and I abandoned it because I wanted to play Bijan Robinson, and I wanted to play Rachaad White, which I thought was going to be a smash at 6,400, and he completely was a dud.
Yeah, it is what it is. You know, the guy that was flashing at us that we just missed in DFS was Breece Hall because the Bengals were that bad. We needed to get the Breece Hall. We needed to get the Chase Brown and pay up for Taylor. But hindsight's always 20/20 when you're talking DFS because 1 week you're going to play that and it's going to be the other guys. And we had been picking on Miami a lot too the whole season. So
yes,
it is what it is. I mean, what can you do?
Daniel Jones, I mean, he's playing Josh Allen level. He's playing like Josh Allen. He looks like Josh Allen. Other than, you know, they don't need Josh like they need Josh at the end in the end zone. You know, Josh runs him in from the 5-yard line. Daniel Jones just hands it to Taylor. But they look really good. Pittman, we all kind of forget how good Pittman was his rookie year and how good he was until Anthony Richardson came around and made him look awful. But with a competent quarterback and a good offense, Pittman is absolutely crushing. And then beyond that, it's just kind of pick your guy of the week. Is it Pierce? Is it Downs? Is it Warren? One of those guys takes off every week. I didn't learn anything new this week about Indianapolis. Did you?
No, the thing about the Colts and their passing game, you know, they just run the ball so well. They haven't played many games behind. They've had an easy schedule, though, too. Beating Denver was kind of pretty much a lucky win against Denver. Something I think Denver really screwed up at the end for the Colts to win. But they've had a pretty easy schedule. It hasn't been very hard. So they've been able to run over some teams. It's going to get a little harder. Jones, I think, will do better for fantasy purposes when they have to throw the ball because he's got the weapons. And that's why you're not seeing – Warren's much better than his numbers have been. I mean, Warren's been steady and good, but they just haven't had to use him. This is the week that they're probably going to need him because Pittsburgh just gave up a ton of points to Tucker Kraft, and probably Warren's going to get him because they're playing in Pittsburgh. Another thing that makes me mad about Daniel Jones is that the Minnesota Vikings signed him at the end of last year, and we all assumed, as Viking fans all assumed, that it was going to be McCarthy was going to be given the shot, and they were going to sign Daniel Jones to be the backup. And boy, would we love that now. The Vikings, but the Vikings, you know what? These idiots, they said that they were blindsided that Jones signed for another team. I mean, I just think the penny pinchers that the Vikings were, they thought, well, nobody's going to sign Jones. We'll just get him for the cheap, because he didn't sign for that big of money in Indianapolis. I mean, he should have been their top priority backup, not to just have Sam Howell and somebody else come in and then cut them and then, well, let's sign Carson Wentz.
Right.
That was.
I mean, honestly, I think the Colts were happy just going into the season with Flacco, and Jones probably came at such a discount. They just said, okay, we'll take him. So I don't know. I might disagree with you on their schedule, Trevor. I mean, they do have the Chiefs, but they play them after a bye. But they get the Steelers next, which, it's in Pittsburgh, which is a tougher matchup, but I think they can handle the Steelers. They get the Falcons at home. They get the Texans twice, the Jaguars twice, and a probably destroyed 49ers team in Week 16. So I don't know how much tougher their schedule actually gets, sir.
Well, it's tougher than what they've played. I mean, they've played Tennessee twice. They played the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
they played the Rams. They played the Broncos. They played the chargers. Those are all good teams.
Oh yeah, they're good teams, but the Chargers aren't a juggernaut defensively, that's for sure.
Right.
The Broncos win, yeah, that was one, but it's going to get a little bit tougher. They're not going to just steamroll these teams.
Mm-hmm.
Texans defense is pretty tough. They're not going to just steamroll the Texans, or the Chiefs. They're going to have to throw to beat the Chiefs.
They are. Let's talk about the Packers. Let's talk about the Packers putting up 35 in Pittsburgh. Jordan Love was freaking incredible. He looked just absolutely in control and that he could do whatever he wanted that entire game. Tucker Kraft was the absolute stud of National Tight End Day at 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. This offense, man, I'm tired of picking the wide receivers in fantasy. If their name is not Tucker Kraft, I think I'm done with them.
Yeah, there's no reason to, for DFS, especially. Now, I've had to play Dobbs and Golden every once in a while just out of necessity, but I really don't want to.
Sure.
I mean, I would pick Dobbs over the other ones, but now you have Christian Watson back, and then Reed is going to be coming back. So there's going to be a lot more weapons, and then you don't know if there's going to be a Jacobs game. Is Carolina now this week they're playing Carolina? Is Carolina's run defense going to get back to the way it was, or is it going to stink like it did against Buffalo? So you could have a lot of Jacobs. So for me, yeah, it's you can play Love naked, but not worry for DFS. For seasonal, it's really just Tucker Kraft and Jacobs, and the other guys you're playing if you have to.
So let's talk about Jacobs. We heard he was been a little banged up recently, which is kind of Jacobs' entire history of him playing football. Williams looked pretty good in his 11 touches. He caught some balls. Do you take this opportunity in deeper leagues to just try to trade Wilson right away, or are you holding him thinking that if Jacobs goes down, Wilson's a great play?
I think you pretty much got to hold Wilson because I don't think you're going to get a whole lot for him in a trade. No, I wouldn't give you a lot for Wilson in a trade.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm talking about Dynasty. I mean, he's young. He's
in Dynasty?
Yeah.
No interest.
I probably trade
somebody. They'll draft somebody new next year.
I have him in 2 of 3 Dynasty leagues, and I put him up on the block immediately.
I would trade him in Dynasty if somebody's willing to give you anything for him. I think
second round pick next year, 3rd round pick next year, I'll take it.
You got to figure Green Bay's done with the Marshawn Lloyd. Unfortunately, he's a talented player, but he always gets hurt. So I just think Green Bay will probably address their backup running back situation differently next year.
And they have another guy, Brooks, who's also there. So they do have depth at running back, and if I don't know what I'd have to look up Jacobs' contract, but if he's not locked under contract, I could see them parting ways with him. So, anyways, let's go to the Steelers. Rodgers was fine. He just didn't really get the time that he needed. He didn't look terrible. We had a Roman Wilson game, 4 for 74 and a touchdown. That was kind of funny. DK Metcalf put up the points we needed him to put up. Jaylen Warren looked good, but they had to abandon the plays that make Warren give us the points that we needed. I don't have a lot to say here. They just got outclassed by the Packers.
Yeah, Green Bay was a better team, and the Steelers just weren't going to run the ball consistently on Green Bay. They weren't going to have like these big spark plays against Green Bay running the ball, so they had to rely passing. They fell behind. DK Metcalf looks pretty good. They don't have that. They got the couple of tight ends there, but Green Bay is just a tough matchup for a team like that. You can really cover the one receiver, and you got to hope somebody shows out, and that didn't transpire throughout the whole ball game until that one last drive.
All right, let's finish it up here and get out of here in about an hour. We got the Washington Commanders and the Chiefs who played last night. The Chiefs are good, and Marcus Mariota is not a starting quarterback. So it was pretty easy to see the tea leaves on this one. Kelsey and Rice dominated. Pacheco has been much better since the first 4 games of the year, 5 games of the year. I was hoping to see some more Brashad Smith for a couple of the spots. I had to play him because of injuries in bye weeks when they were going to win this game, but it didn't really happen.
No, you got Hunt. I mean, people I hear are disappointed in the Worthy, but Worthy will have some games too. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs are just, in my opinion, the best team in the AFC right now. I was kind of glad they smashed Washington in the second half because I was sick and tired of the announcers talking about that moral win that Washington had, making it 7-7 at halftime. They kept on harping how moral. I said, they're going to get blown out in the second half because the ball bounced. They were 7-7. The ball bounced their way in the first half. Just wait to when it don't bounce their way. So
that very last Reshi Rice touchdown, by the way, I was up by like I was down by 2 points going into the game, and my opponent had Kelsey and I had Rice, and that game was just going back and forth all night long, in a win that I needed to have. So I was really happy.
Oh, so Rice did put you over the top.
Yeah, that last touchdown put me 3 points over the top. So it was good, but I was down. I had a 1% chance of winning with the clock winding down, and then Rice caught that touchdown and it popped me right up above.
Well, that'll be a heck of a game because Kansas City is going into Buffalo for that late Sunday afternoon hammer. So it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Tell you what, Trevor, I already put my pick'em sheet in for my one league because you got to do it by Wednesday night and you have to pick the whole games. You can't go in and change. And I picked the Bills because the Bills like to win in the regular season, but I think it's going to be some fireworks in that game.
I'm picking the Chiefs, but I hope there's no. I'm kind of hoping there's no fireworks, but I think there will be because it always seems to be.
It always seems to be. Yeah, I picked. So this pick'em league that I have to turn it in by Wednesday, I make a lot of the end of the year cumulative record is secondary to the weekly payouts. So I like to pick a couple of games way against the public, and I think everybody's going to be on KC with how well they've played since Rice has come back.
Sure.
So I'm picking the Bills.
Sure, you're not picking Minnesota against Detroit.
I don't think so. I think JJ McCarthy will play probably 5 or 6 more starts this year, and then will never be a starting quarterback in the league again. That's my official stance.
That's the opposite of what people are thinking, though. If you really want to jump on the rest of your competition, but
and I pick against Detroit almost every week because I'm in Michigan, and this entire league is a local league, and they always pick the Lions every single time. So I generally pick against them and hope that I'm smart enough in some other matchups to make up for the fact that Detroit's going to win like 15 games. And hope that I'm the one that gets it right when they lose.
Yeah. So the Washington side, there's not much to say. You got Mariota.
Yeah, with no Daniels, there's no point to that team. They can't.
A couple of nice throws, but there's this.
Yep, he did fine. What I've been really sad in is regression of Bill Krosky-Merritt. I've been a little sad that he hasn't been good.
Well, Kansas City is a very tough team to run the ball. Even Detroit had trouble running against Kansas City. So that's not that thing. The week before, I was a little worried when he couldn't run the ball very well.
Yeah.
So he does look to me like the best back, but they're just going to have to play a really bad run defense for him to really show out, I think.
Love it. All right, buddy. I got nothing else. You got any parting thoughts?
No, let's just hope for a better week for DFS this week. We got the show with me and Doc tomorrow for the first look. That's usually about 9 o'clock Eastern, maybe a little after 9:05 by the time I get on there. And then we got other stuff going on. So yeah.
Yeah, we got that on Wednesday night. We got Friday Night Lights with Doc. We got Saturday mornings with Doc on Sirius XM. We've got the Any Given Entry single entry show on Saturday night. We got Doc's and I's Discord show Sunday mornings. And, of course, all the articles over at drroto.com for 3 more days till the 31st. You can use promo code Trevor at drroto.com to get 20% off instead of the standard Doc for 10 in celebration of Trevor's $100,000. Doc said if you do it again, we'll go to 30%.
Well, boy, but that's the incentive.
No pressure, Trevor. Everybody's counting on you to get their 30% off. You just have to win another $100,000. All right.
Yeah, that's
if he wins another $100,000, Trevor will personally pay for everybody's yearly subscription to end the year. That's what's going to happen. All right. For Johnny Danger, we've got Trust and Trevor. Thank you for watching at drroto.com. We'll catch you all.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.